I'm Mark Baxter with US Products, and I'd like to introduce you to the Kraken 6.6 flood extractor. The Kraken 6.6 flood extractor has dual 6.6 vacuum motors mounted on top of the recovery tank. They are producing 137 inches of lift and 240 CFM. You will also note in that vacuum pack there is a 4-inch fan that is exhausting all hot air produced by the vacuum motors during operation. So each vacuum motor has its own inlet and then the evacuation of the hot air. So this unit will stay cool during continuous operation. No worries about the vacuum motors ever overheating. On the front of the unit, we have our 2-inch inlet. The unit comes with either 25 feet of 2-inch hose or 50 foot. So if the 50-foot option is available. Underneath the vacuum inlet, you undo the 2 latches, lift up the vacuum inlet cover. Here we have a large filter basket. This filter basket is designed to catch all kinds of debris. It is much larger than most filter baskets you'll find in flood extractors. On the interior of the recovery tank, we have our 53 gallon per minute sump pump. So it'll pump out at 53 gallons a minute through a 1.5 inch 50 foot dump hose that is supplied with the flood extractor. On the side of the vacuum inlet, we have a vacuum relief valve. And what this does is, should the vacuum motors be deadheaded, it will pull the spring back in this relief valve and allow air to come into the unit at a level that will stop the deadhead effect against the vacuum motors. One of the nice features on the side of the unit here is the wheels. The 12-inch wheels are designed for stair climbing. So they're offset from the center line, giving you a lot of space between the back of the unit and the leading edge of the wheel to the stair riser. Also, there is a metal bearing for extra weight support on this unit, so you never have to worry about the center hub cracking on your wheels. On the back side of the unit, we have our switch plate. And the switch plate serves as dual functional. And what I mean by that is you have what's called the sump pump feature. The sump pump feature is going to run one vac and the sump pump, and it's going to cycle. So as water enters the machine and comes into a certain point, it will then transfer power via float switch to the sump pump and then evacuate out to a safe level. And it will continue that cycling as long as you're extracting water from a flooded area. The second feature is the deep extraction tool feature. And this, of course, is both vacuum motors along with the sump pump. You would use this feature when you're down to the area of removing water from the carpet and pad with a extraction tool, as our 16-inch FEW wand, a water claw, or the likes. The great thing about this is the sump pump feature runs off a single 15-amp breaker. The deep extraction feature with the 2 vacs and the sump pump will require 2 15-amp circuits. So at no point will you ever have to be tasked with finding a 20-amp breaker to operate this unit. Here is the hookup for the 1.5-inch dump hose. It's a banjo type fitting connection. The vacuum pack has the ABS cover. So in order to remove the vacuum pack, we will now take the ABS cover off. It's a very simple operation, and we'll go through that right now. Now that we've loosened the ABS plate, remove the screws from it, we're going to tip this forward. going to have two power wires coming to the fan, which are spade connectors, and we're going to disconnect those. That will allow us to take this cover and set it off. We can also take the two inlet hoses for the ducting for the vacuum motors. Now, on the interior of the unit, we're going to have a bundle of wires, which are the two power wires to the vacuum 1, and a ground, and another bundle that's labeled number 2, which is the two wires, power wires, and the ground going to vac number 2. They're quick disconnects, so we will disconnect those from power. Now, we have that. On the interior, we see two wing clamps with yellow knobs on them. We're going to loosen those. And these are on the exhaust port of the vacuum motor, each one. We'll loosen those and then pull them off. Now, once those are free and clear, we'll come to the back side. Now, we undo our two latches, and we're going to lift the vacuum pack out of the unit. So, now we have the ABS plate, which the vacs sit on, with our vacuum shield remaining here. So, any access, if you need to remove the pump, we will then remove the 8 bolts holding this plate on and lift that plate out. Then the sump pump is easily removed through that opening right there. There's a ring handle on the top of the sump pump. You undo the brackets and you can lift it right out. So, in order to change a vacuum motor on this unit, you simply have the 3 bolts per vacuum motor. Here, here, and here. You undo the top on the vacuum motors, and you can pull the vacuum motor right out and drop a new one in and be right back in action. Or you can have a spare vacuum pack available in case you have a failed vacuum motor. You can simply drop the new vacuum pack right in place and be right back in action. So replacing the vac motor, about 5 minutes. Putting a new vac pack in, 2 minutes. The Kraken has check valves on each vacuum motor. So if you're running the one vacuum motor during the sump pump operation, it cannot pull air back through the other vacuum motor. Each vacuum motor has its own muffler system, which reduces the dB level of this machine dramatically and exhaust into and out of the bottom of the unit. So now we're going to take and hook the Kraken up to a water supply tank and pull water from that tank and evacuate back into it, showing the sump pump cycling feature, where the unit brings water into a specific level and then dumps out until it achieves a safe level and then re-energizes the vacuum motor again. So after going through the unit, I think that the features and benefits speak for themselves. With the Kraken, with its dual 6.6s in parallel, mounted in a vacuum pack directly to the recovery tank, the ball float shield, the secondary ball float shutoff should the electronic float ever fail. It's a fail-safe unit. The large filter basket, one of the largest in the portable flood extraction industry. The large 18-gallon tank. The fact that you do not need to find 20 amp circuits to operate this unit. The 50-foot 1.5-inch dump hose with the quick release, quick connection fittings. The availability of the 50-foot 2-inch back hose. The dump feature to drain out any remaining water in the tank left after the sump pump evacuates out what it can. This is the premier flood extractor on the market. I think that anybody that has the chance to use it will be very, very impressed with the features we've designed into it. So please visit usproducts.com or go to your local distributor and inquire about the Kraken 6.6 flood extractor.